VA Medical Center in Toma to be treated for anxiety. He never went home. Under medical supervision, or the appearance of it, he died of an overdose from opioid painkillers. We now know that Jason's death could and should have been prevented. No one should seek help and receive mistreatment in return. No one. So Jason's family pushed for reforms that will make the VA improve its practices and the way it monitors prescriptions. Yesterday, the Promise Act passed the House. Jason's family was there in the gallery to watch it. It is one of 18 initiatives that we are acting on to address the opioid epidemic that is sweeping across this country. You just heard about 2 others. Many states have taken action, but this threat also requires a national response. So whether it is protecting infants, whether it is stopping kingpins or pushers, or making better use of data, we are going to take all of these ideas, pass them through the House, go into a conference committee with the Senate, and we intend to put a bill on the president's desk fast. This is not just about process. This is not just about legislation. This is about saving people's lives. It is about honoring those who were taken too soon. It is about honoring those who want a second chance, who need and deserve a second chance. And it's also about protecting the next generation. Those of us who are raising that next generation care so deeply about this. That is what this week is about.
As you heard from everyone here, addiction tears families apart. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you're in, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter the color of your skin. It's reaching every single district. I want to give some special thanks here to Congressman Bob Dole, Congresswoman Susan Brooks. They never gave up. And they worked together. They worked in a bipartisan manner. When you talk about and listen to what the bills are going to be on the floor this week, there will be 18 of them, dealing from every aspect of this challenge that we have in America. I want to thank the Senate. The Senate has worked hard on this as well. We expanded in the areas that the Senate did not. We streamlined with the Sensenbrenner bill and actually provided more money. It has reached every place, and it's an epidemic. But what the Speaker just talked about, there's a certain area that's grown more than anywhere else, and that's our veterans. They've been overprescribed. They're coming back with PTSD. This will deal with it. So when we leave the floor this week, this is a place that all of America can be proud. That we're finding solutions in a bipartisan manner and dealing with it in the right approach.
Opioid abuse is a major crisis in America, and the House has taken very targeted and specific action this week to address this problem. And we're going to merge together with the Senate's work so that we can finally get a bill to the president's desk that targets this problem. As you heard from some of the authors of the legislation we're bringing forward, Susan Brooks and Bob Dole, have really specific legislation to go after areas of this problem. There are a number of other bills, too. I'd like to mention Larry Bucshon. Dr. Bucshon brought a bill forward this week that's going to make it easier for people to get treatment from opioid abuse. We know that 44 people die every single day from opioid abuse in America. And then when you look at how it's a gateway to deeper problems, 80% of all heroin users started off abusing prescription painkillers. So we're targeting this problem, and it's really good that the House has taken this seriously and moving legislation in a bipartisan way that can actually get signed by the president. Something else we're doing this week is starting to focus on Police Week, standing up for our law enforcement who are on the front lines of protecting our communities, and it's a very difficult job for them. One bill we passed yesterday that truly is saving the lives of law enforcement is the reauthorization of the Bulletproof Vest program. More than 1 million police officers around the country have gotten bulletproof vests to save their lives through this program. So it was important that we passed legislation yesterday that will go to the president's desk reauthorizing the Bulletproof Vest program, which has directly saved the lives of officers all around this country.
Well, let me express my sincerest thanks to Alex's family for being here this morning and joining us. and representing thousands across the country right now that are directly impacted. I also want to recognize the leadership, the commitment of Representative Bob Dole and Representative Susan Brooks on this important issue. As we come together this morning, we're reminded of the pain and suffering this epidemic has brought to families, neighborhoods, communities in every zip code across this country. For years, I've actually been working on some legislation to ensure proper use of prescriptions. And through that work, I can tell you this issue is personal. And sadly, you don't have to go too far to hear the stories. Last week, I visited a pharmacy in Spokane, and it's right next door to a high school that is facing unprecedented opioid abuse and overdoses. And they're doing everything they can to combat it. It's heartbreaking. As I spent time talking to the individuals gathered, I couldn't help but think of the words of addiction survivor Nick Yacoub. He recently shared with everyone in this room, survivors aren't bad people trying to be good. They're sick people trying to get well. No one can fight this battle alone, nor should they. The bills that we will pass this week will increase our understanding about the crisis, promote innovative care, and work together to combat the stigma against those seeking help. At the end of the day, we're in this together. These are our communities, our hometowns. As their voices in the House of Representatives, we are committed to working together with the local leaders to find the best solutions to end this epidemic, restore America's promise and confidence in their futures.
Anybody have any questions? Manu.
Thank you. You've pledged repeatedly for party unity headed into the fall. A lot of Republican senators and House members say by your decision to withhold your endorsement of Donald Trump actually makes it harder for the party to unite. Are you concerned that by not endorsing Trump, the party's going to have a difficult time?
No, I think actually what we're trying to do is be as constructive as possible to have a real unification. Look, I said this the other day. To pretend we're unified as a party after coming through a very bruising primary, which just ended like a week ago, to pretend we're unified without actually unifying, then we go into the fall at half strength. This election is too important to go into an election at half strength. That means we need a real unification of our party, which, look, after a tough primary, that's going to take some effort. We are committed to putting that effort in. I want to be a part of that unifying process so that we're at full strength this fall so that we can win this election. We cannot afford to lose this election to Hillary Clinton, to pack the Supreme Court, to keep the liberal Obama agenda going. We have to be at full strength so that we can win this election, and that is why we have to go through the actual effort and process of unifying.
Mr. Speaker. Hallie from NBC, by the way. You've been very vocal in your differences on policy with Donald Trump. So what is it that you need to hear from him at some point to fully endorse him? And is there a situation in which you can?
Look, I think these are conversations we're going to have. I don't really know him. I met him once in person in 2012. We had a very good conversation in March on the phone. We just need to get to know each other. And we, as a leadership team, are enjoying the fact that we have a chance to meet with him. So I'd rather have a conversation in person than through the media. No offense.
What is the policy decision for you?
Look, this is a big tent party. There is plenty of room for different policy disputes in this party. We come from different wings of the party. The goal here is to unify the various wings of the party around common principles so that we can go forward unified. Juan.
Speaker, you spoke with Ben Carson, the top Trump supporter, last night. What was Mr. Carson's message to you ahead of this meeting with Donald Trump?
First of all, Ben Carson's a great guy. And Ben Carson is just trying to provide a constructive role to help. He wants to be a force to help all the various wings of the Republican Party and the conservative movement to come together, and he's trying to play that constructive role. Sorry.
Out of the meeting tomorrow, can there be merged messages, or can there be, do you see a possibility of two separate messages, a congressional GOP message and a nominee's message?
Look, we've got a process. We're just getting started. So the last thing I'm going to do is say exactly what the end of this process is going to be when we're just beginning this process. The point I'll just make one more time is I really believe that if we're going to be successful this fall, we have to unify our party. We have to go forward with a positive message that Americans see that we have solutions to their problems. When 7 out of 10 Americans don't like the path that this country is on, and Hillary Clinton is basically promising to keep going down the same path, we have an obligation to merge and to unify around our common principles to offer this country a choice, a better way forward, and that's going to take some party unification to do that. We just finished probably one of the most grueling primaries in modern history. It's going to take some work, and that's the kind of work we're dedicated to doing. Thank you.
We will make America great again.